candidates looking to replace Justin Trudeau have less than 8 weeks to sway Liberal Party members. But how exactly will Canada's next Prime Minister be selected? Here to break this all down for us, Elizabeth McCallion, an assistant political science professor at the University of Toronto. Thank you for joining today.
Thanks for having me here.
So many questions, Elizabeth. Where to begin? Let's just start with some of the candidates, the yays and the nays, people who've said no, people who've said yes, and people who said maybe. We are expecting. So we've seen several ministers who have said, no, I'm not putting my hat in there, including Melanie Ng, Dominic LeBlanc, Anita Anand, Steve McKinnon. We do have intentions from Frank Baylis, Chandra Arya, and we are expecting to hear from the former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney. Okay, knowing all of this and knowing that we have some dates, January 23rd to declare candidacy and March 9th for them to pick a new Liberal leader, that's a lot of information in a very short period of time. So how do we walk us through the process of what happens between now and those dates?
Right. So Canadians have 2 weeks now to decide if they want to register with the Liberal Party to vote in this leadership campaign. We will see people declaring their intention to run. And so then we'll have a better idea of who we're voting for by the time we're registering, potentially in 2 weeks to vote in the contest. What
was really interesting was that $350,000 entrance fee, let's say, compared to, you were saying in previous, when we were in a scenario like this previously, the number was much lower. So let's talk about those figures and why this could make a big change or could play a big factor in all of this.
Yeah, so the last time that the Liberals ran a leadership campaign was 2013, and then the entrance fee was $75K. At $350K now, it tells you that the party is looking for serious contenders. We don't have a lot of time to mess around with, everybody paying attention to 20 different candidates and trying to figure out who will come out on top. The party is saying we want to have just the most serious people coming in who can fundraise $350,000 relatively quickly.
What if the next Prime Minister is not a sitting MP? What message perhaps does that send to Canadians, or what hurdles does that person face?
Yeah, so it's possible to have a Prime Minister who's not a sitting MP. The convention would be that they would seek a seat in Parliament in the next election. And we know that there will be an election coming up soon, as the confidence in the House is kind of hanging by a thread. So if we were to have a Liberal leader elected who does not have a seat in Parliament, it tells us that the members of the Liberal Party who are voting in this race are interested in bringing in somebody who is kind of outside of the fray that they have going on right now. So they want to see somebody who's not so connected to Trudeau, especially because a lot of the opposition party messaging has been around Trudeau specifically. So to bring in people who are not members of his government would signal that the Liberals are interested in shifting tack.
Right, and perhaps that is the strategy that's needed when we look at the public opinion polls as of late. It seems that Pierre Poilievre is really, in the clear should we head to the polls tomorrow. But let's talk about that. Whoever is going to be facing Pierre Poilievre, Jagmeet Singh, down the way, which again could be an early spring election, they've got a lot to contend with, and they've got this uphill battle.
Yeah. So the biggest issue right now for the Conservatives is railing on Justin Trudeau. And so if they're looking to kind of distance themselves from Trudeau, that kind of creates a problem for the Conservatives, because where do they pivot now? Right. So selecting somebody outside the Trudeau government would be kind of a promising strategy if the concern is to make sure that they're not looking at people who can be easily attacked because of their connection to Trudeau.
And perhaps that's why we've seen a lot of the cabinet ministers say, I'm here to do my job today, maybe not for the future strategy. Let's look to the polls again. You sort of alluded to a potential date. Should everything go with this timeline here, March 9th, a new leader chosen, how soon could we be going to the polls? Is there a date that could be thrown out there?
Yeah, so March 24th is when the prorogation ends in Parliament, and they will be back. The reason that March 24th was chosen is because it falls within the range of what they call supply days. That is when the government has to seek funding and permission from the House of Commons to fund its activities. So when the supply motion is brought in, if it fails in Parliament, that would be considered a vote of no confidence. Parliaments, and the Prime Minister, by convention, would go to the Governor General and trigger an election. So it depends on if that supply vote passes. If the opposition parties, we can expect that the Conservatives will probably vote against it.
Right.
Are the NDP going to keep them in government at the end of March, or are the NDP going to say, no, we're ready for an election too, and trigger one by voting down the supply motion in the House of Commons?
Okay, and should that happen, that means, wow, that very soon after that, we head to the polls.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A lot can happen, as we've seen in the last couple weeks. So appreciate you breaking this down for us, Elizabeth McCallion with the University of Toronto. Thank you.
Thank you.